Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. This is another video response to one of Shall Not Be Infringed new videos. Don't click off the video. I've gotten a couple of comments and a couple of private messages that indicate to me that a lot of people, some people think that these are just like private conversations going back and forth, and that there's not much benefit in them. Anyone who thinks that hasn't watched them and really hasn't thought about it. The reason we're doing this, we could do this shit in private messages, folks. The reason we're doing this, at least the reason I'm doing it, and I believe the reason the other guys have hopped into these conversations, is that we may think of something that you didn't think of. These guys, every one of these guys' videos have given me something to think about that I hadn't considered, or at least given me a new perspective on something I hadn't seen from that side. So if you're clicking these off just because you think there's nothing in here beneficial to you, I hope you reconsider that and actually watch these. Go back and watch these back and forth conversations, because they're full of information and insight that each of us has gained through our own lives. And the point of that is sharing it with you and trying to help folks out. So I hope you're not turning this stuff off out of turn. All right, this is for Shall Not Be Infringed video called The Plan. One, let me start out by saying you got a friggin' solid setup, brother. That I think a lot of people watching your video may not even have realized how big that setup really is. I'll do it like this. I'll tell a little story. I saw this article at one point about this woman who she watched some Oprah Winfrey show, and she got concerned about a plight of the people in Africa. And so she kind of adopted an African family. And she was sending them over money. The chick didn't make a lot of money. She was sending them what she could. But the money she sent was keeping that family alive. So she came to some money, I don't know, with tax returns, won a lottery, something. Not a ton of money, but she came into some money. So she sent that woman a letter and asked her, what could I possibly do? What would make your situation better? And the African woman sent back a goat. If I had a goat, that would really improve the quality of life. So this American woman, she bought a goat, arranged it, and had it sent to this woman. It cost her like $300, and the result of that was unbelievable. That goat, through various means, she was able to trade the milk, she was able to breed the goat, that kind of stuff. She actually measurably raised the quality of life for not only that woman and her family, her entire village, and something like 5 or 6 or 8 villages in total. The quality of life was raised because of one damn goat. So think about that in the perspective of, or in the scale that what Shall Not Be Infringed is looking at here. You're going to be able to set up, I'm talking to you directly again, Mike, you're going to be able to set up a marketplace just on what you're doing. You're going to be able to set up an entire economy just on what you're doing. And man, it's smart thinking, and I think if anything ever did go down, there's going to be another community in New England, in Massachusetts, that survives because you knew that the original colonists survived on cod. A lot of people don't look at their history, man. People go around clueless. So I think you got a great setup. You mentioned holes. I only see 2 real holes in there. One of which I think you already have thought of, but I'm going to mention it just for other people watching. And the other one you might not have considered, so I'll throw it in there. Another story, actually, to set this up. Otherwise, it's going to kind of seem crazy from left field. There was this guy, I think his name was Scott Peterson. I remember his wife's name was definitely Stacy Peterson. Or no, Lacey Peterson. Anyway, look it up. You probably know who I'm talking about. The chick was 8 months pregnant, and the guy killed her, and he dumped her body out in the bay. And one of the things that helped the prosecutors convict this dude of killing her and the kid is that he had a bunch of charts he'd been looking up on his computer, flow charts of how the tides move and where water comes to and how it moves and all that in his area. And I'm thinking of that because you might have some community a couple 100 miles north or south of you along the coast that decides to start dumping shit in the ocean and use it as a dump. And if you know where water comes from, you can anticipate that and look in those areas, and if you know it's a possibility, you can start looking for signs of that, and maybe have a backup plan in case that ever comes down. But I know there's not much you could do to directly affect that, but at least being aware of it is a first step towards that. So that's the thing I think you might not have thought of. The thing I think you're probably already on, you mentioned a few things that let me know you're already thinking this, but again, this is for anybody else possibly watching. Security. You know how Sears and Roebuck, you know how that company was made? I mean, most people probably don't know the history of this, but Sears and Roebuck, those two dudes were actually criminals. What they did was they went around the United States to general stores that were out in the middle of nowhere. They walked in, they killed the owner, and they took over the store. Anybody that came in, they told them, oh yeah, the owner sold me the business and he moved off to California. And so they'd hire a clerk and they'd move to the next one. And then to go kill the owner of the next general store. That's how Sears and Roebuck was started, man. So people think that way in situations where there's no rule of law or where they think they can get away with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's very quickly a couple of guys that may not have equipment, but they got a little rowboat, and they see your setup and they're thinking, I can just go out there, shoot that guy, and then I have that setup. I have the basis for a whole economy. So there's that. I know you're already thinking about security. Another thing I wanted to go over is possible expansions, because while I only see a few little holes in your plan, I see huge ability to expand that shit. So I don't know if you've thought about this. You probably have, but anyone else watching might not have. So here we go. One of the most valuable commodities to trade in the history of mankind is salt. And you're sitting on a whole friggin' ocean of it. You know, it's fairly easy to collect, man. You just dip like big blankets or something, let it get completely sopped in that salt water, and then hang it to dry and beat the salt out of it. And you've got salt for trade. And, you know, salt literally used to be worth its weight in gold, man. You showed up with a pound of salt, you could walk out with a pound of gold. So, salt is definitely valuable because people require it to survive. People that live inland aren't going to be getting the salt content from their food, really. And my brother really made me think about this. When we were talking before about prep, he mentioned make sure you put up a lot of iodized salt because salt's necessary. So, you know, I mean, this is information I knew. I knew historically salt was something, I just hadn't thought to put it up. So, so you might not be considerate. I know you know salt is valuable. I know you know it's necessary. I don't know if you've looked into how to iodize the salt, but that's important too. One of the biggest deficiencies in the third world countries is iodine deficiency, and it causes all kinds of problems. Causes kids to be retarded and mental developmental problems and all kinds of shit. So it's easy if you live right there on the bay. If there's any kelp beds in that bay that you can pull them plants are going to be rich in iodine. Bring them up, dry them out, grind them in, and mix whatever percentage in with the salt. And you've set up long-term trading with your situation. Another thing I wanted to mention is I know you've said a bunch of times you fucking hate crabs, but people eat crabs, and even if they're too small for eating, they might be good for bait. So also you were talking about I think this is awesome too. You're talking about training other people in your community so that they can get their own operations going. And one of the things you might want to think about doing is diversifying that so that you're not all hitting one aspect of the food chain there. So have some people doing crab, some people doing lobster, some people doing fish. So, you know, just something to consider. Also, it made me think of that story you told in one of your videos where you gathered up a bunch of crabs in like a fish can or something, or in like a paint can, I think, and you cut a hole in the top and threw it out there on the beach, and you were plucking them off with a BB gun. And then in this video, you mentioned maybe shooting seagulls on the boat with the 22. And I was thinking, wouldn't it suck if you did that and some freak way that thing went through and made a hole in the hull of your boat? So maybe keep a BB gun like you used to shoot them crabs with. Shoot the seagull if you miss. You're not going to put a hole in your boat, right? Yeah, just something to think about. And again, all those people that may have been clicking off these videos, please go back, take a look, man, watch them, look at the back and forth conversations. And I want to thank the guys, you know, Shall Not Be Infringed. He's hopped into a lot of these conversations and really got some flow going back and forth. A couple other people have hopped in. Hibernia's son with some great information. Landshark 22, again, great information. The Vermont Hillbilly, same thing. Blue Collar Survivor has hopped in. We're doing this for your benefit, folks. That's the point of these back and forth videos instead of doing it in private message. So if you haven't checked all those videos out and you haven't checked those guys out, every one of them has good information on our channels. So go check them out. Think about it. Hopefully you're thinking about the stuff we're talking about here and seeing how you can apply it. You know, this is back to Mike directly. You've said a bunch of times that you don't want to share your information just because you don't think it's going to help some farmer in the middle of nowhere or a guy like me in Philadelphia. I think you're wrong. I've already gotten a bunch of ideas just from this one video you did here. I may not be able to directly apply it because I don't live on the ocean, but you know, some of the concepts that you put forth in there are certainly sound and stuff I hadn't really considered before. I haven't fleshed any of it out in my head, but when I do, I'll definitely make a video about it and toss it up. But it's definitely helping me, man. It's giving ideas, and I bet it's helping a lot of other people too. So please keep them coming. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks for hopping into the conversation. Those of you who have done so. Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.